Good morning, Kasturians, and welcome to video 5 of chapter Working of Institutions. In today's video, we will discuss about the powers of president and the elections, how the president is elected in India. What is there in the electoral college for presidential elections? So let's start. The president is the head of the state. In fact, president is the nominal head of the state in our political system because he enjoys only nominal powers. The president supervises the overall functioning of all the political institutions in the country, and he sees that the political institutions, they should operate in harmony to achieve the objectives of the state. The President of India is elected indirectly by an electoral college in accordance with the system of proportional representation by means of the single transferable vote. In the electoral college, the members of both houses of parliament are there. The elected members of the legislative assemblies of the states, that is the MLAs, are there, and the elected members of the legislative assemblies of union territories of Delhi and Puducherry are there in the electoral college. The candidates who are contesting for presidentship, they have to get a majority of votes to win the election. This ensures that the president can be seen to represent the entire nation. Any claim by the president in any kind of direct popular mandate that the prime minister can is not there with the president. This ensures that the president remains only a nominal executive and the real or working executive will be the prime minister. Unlike India, all over the world, the presidents, being the primary residents, they enjoy different powers. Like the US president is directly elected by the people, and then the elected president chooses and appoints all ministers personally. But the lawmaking is still done by the legislature, that is called the Congress in US. But the US, all the passes any law, it is the US president that can veto any law and make it null and void. And most important, the US president does not need the support of the majority of the members in the Congress, and neither he is answerable to them. That's why the president has a fixed tenure of 4 years and he completes it even if the party of the president does not have a majority in the Congress or the US Parliament. This model of presidential form of government is followed in most of the countries of Latin America and many of the ex-Soviet Union countries, where the centrality of the president is there, that is the president is the central power. This system of government is called the presidential form of government. But in India it is totally different. Now, the powers of the president. The president enjoys the following powers. All the governmental activities are conducted in the name of the president. All the laws and the major policy decisions of the country decided by the government, they are issued in the name of president. All the major appointments are made in the name of the president, including the appointment of the Chief Justice of India, the judges of the Supreme Court and the High Courts of the states, the governors of the states, the election commissioners and ambassadors to other countries. These are all appointed by the president. Electoral college is actually a specially constituted elected body that elects the president and vice president of India. All the international treaties and agreements are made in the name of the president, and the supreme commander of defense forces in India is the president. And the president, it has emergency powers also, that is it has the powers to deal with an unexpected and critical situation, like the power to declare emergency or president's rule and issuing an ordinance. The president appoints the prime minister. After the elections are over, the leader of the majority party or the coalition of parties who has a clear majority in the Lok Sabha elections is appointed as the prime minister only when he shows the given number of members in his support which are required to frame the government. Also, in case if no party gets a clear majority in the Lok Sabha elections, then the president exercises his discretionary powers and appoints the leader who in his or her opinion can get majority support in the Lok Sabha. In spite of these powers, the president also has limitation on its powers. All these powers are exercised only on the advice of the Council of Ministers. The President can ask the Council of Ministers to consider the advice, but if the same advice is given again, the President is bound to act according to the advice. And similarly, if a bill passed by Parliament becomes a law only after the President gives assent or permission to it. If the President wants, he or she can delay this for some time and send the bill back to the Parliament for reconsideration. But if the Parliament passes the bill again, the President has to sign. He is left with no option than to sign it. In the Indian system, the judiciary is another important organ of the administration. It refers to an institution which is empowered to administer justice and provide a mechanism for the resolution of legal disputes. And all the courts which work at different levels in a country, they are put together and they are called judiciary. The Indian judiciary consists of the apex court, which is for the entire nation, that is the Supreme Court situated in Delhi, and after Supreme Court lies the high courts, which are the highest legal authority in their respective states. Then the district courts and the courts at the local level and the Lok Adalats. This integrated or unified judiciary is a characteristic feature of the Indian Constitution and the Indian administration also. And this integrated or unified judiciary means that the Supreme Court controls the judicial administration in the country and all other courts are bound to follow the decisions or advisory of the Supreme Court. The judiciary is independent of legislature and executive. That means that it cannot be influenced by the legislature or the executive, and they cannot work on the direction of the government or according to the wishes of the political parties. All the modern democracies, including India, they have courts that are independent of the legislature and the executive. The judges of the Supreme Court and the High Courts, they are appointed by the President of India on the advice of Prime Minister and in consultation with the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of India. The Supreme Court judges, which are at senior level, they appoint and they select the new judges of the Supreme Court and High Courts. The scope of political interference is very little or almost negligible, and the senior most judge of the Supreme Court is usually appointed as the Chief Justice of India. Sometimes a person who is working as a judge of Supreme Court or High Court is found charged with the misconduct or misuse of his powers. In that case, the person can be removed from that position, and this process is called impeachment. It is as difficult as removing the President of India. The judges, they can be removed by impeachment motion, and this has to be passed separately by a two-third majority of the two houses of the parliament. But in the history of Indian democracy, this has not been taken place yet. The Supreme Court is vested with so many powers. It can hear cases between the citizens and of the country. It can hear disputes between citizens of the country and the government. It can also hear disputes between two or more state governments and the disputes involving central government and the state government. Apart from this, the Supreme Court and High Courts, they also have the power to interpret the constitution of the country. They can declare any law invalid if the law is made by the legislature, or the actions of the executives can be declared invalid, whether at the union level or the state level, if the Supreme Court finds that such a law or action is against the constitutional benefits or against the constitution. The validity of constitution by any legislation or action of the executive in the country, when it is challenged before them, this is called judicial review of the constitution, and this is the power which the Supreme Court and the High Court only, they can review, and they can review the constitution using their judicial review power. The powers and the independence of the Indian judiciary, they allow it to act as the guardian of the fundamental rights. Anyone can approach the courts if the public interest is hurt by the actions of the government, and this is called public interest litigation, that is PIL. The people, they can go and file the public interest litigation, and these are given primary priority by the Supreme Courts. And the courts, they intervene to prevent the misuse or its power. The government's power to make decisions can be misused by those who are in power. So Supreme Court, it keeps on checking the malpractices on the part of public officials, and that is why the judiciary enjoys a high level of confidence among the people. That's all we have in this video, and thank you and have a nice day.